Hey everybody, and welcome to How to Massively Grow Your Hypnotherapy Practice in Just 6 Weeks and More. And so this is going to be a very, very challenging webinar with a workbook complete to allow you to do the exercises to grow. So if this is something that you're really looking to do, to produce a professional business in hypnotherapy when you're doing 6 figures or more, it's not the easiest job in the world. Absolutely not. And if it was just ease that you were after, well, another job would be what you're looking for. So let's get into the content and let's get into the strategies that you're going to be using and we're going to be unpacking. To begin with, we're going to be looking at mindset and excuses. And so onto the deadly excuse zone. Now, it sounds like this kind of stuff shouldn't be addressed, but it absolutely has to, because this is the stuff that comes out, even accidentally in the head. Literally, with the bad attitude, no success can happen. It's just impossible. So like, here's an example of too hard, or commit to do whatever it takes to help people. This is so important that no matter what's going on in your life, this is a decision you're making. It's that you're somebody who's deciding that your personal life's important and your professional life's important, and you're going to make the two work together. Another one is like no market or too expensive. These are just beliefs that people can have which can really affect their ability to put the strategies into place. Because if you don't believe that you can do this, then you're absolutely not going to be coming from your best self, from the energetic state where you use that genius creativity that flows from you when you're being your best self. So no market too expensive, or get out of scarcity and into abundance. And then the next one, outsource that techie stuff to my neighbor's stepson's dog. Now, this is stuff that happens all the time. People are saying, I'm getting someone else to do my webpage. I'm getting someone else to do this. I'm getting someone else to do that. This isn't my thing. I think that someone else should do it for me. Again, that computers have changed so much that people are still, in a way, they can have this belief that we're still using computers from the 80s or 90s, back when coding was the only way that you could produce a webpage. Now there's 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds making web pages with the free web page builders. It is so easy. It's not like the 10 grand it used to be to build one web page. Now it's like you get a Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, or you do something with WordPress that is so cheap. And it's either free or cheap, or you get onto Fiverr.com and for $5 somebody will build you a web page. So I still want you to have a go at these tools yourself because of the standoff. The standoff is something happens that's when you outsource your own material, you're not just outsourcing the technology, you're outsourcing the thinking and the messaging behind what you have to say. So the standoff is literally when in the purchasing of a webinar, like you go to someone and say, can you build me a webinar, please? What tends to happen is that they then say, yeah, I'll build you a web page. What do you want on it? And you go, I don't know, just build me a web page. And they're like, yeah, I'll build you one, but what do you want on your web page? And you're like, but I thought you're going to build a web page. And they go like, yeah, we'll build it for you, but we want to know what you want on it. And they're like, I don't know, just build me a web page. So this is why you need to have a go yourself. We're going to be going through the exercise now of, well, if you have a web page, what are you going to put on it? But first, make sure that we absolutely smash any excuse as to why this potentially can't work for you. So next, clients won't pay a high price for hypnotherapy, or customers don't have much money. Now this one is absolute rubbish, because you should never assume how much money your client actually has. It's rubbish literally. There are people with money and people without. Even when somebody says to you they don't have money, usually this isn't where the belief comes from. But if somebody was to say to you, I don't really have a lot of money, generally what they're saying is not just the money stuff, it's just a convenience excuse they tell you because they just want you to leave them alone. There are things that you could give people for free, and they still wouldn't take it. So literally, that it's never the price. If people have, let's say with cigarettes, people want to get off cigarettes, and they'll go $400, $500, $600 is too much to pay to get off cigarettes. Well, how come you spend $5 grand a year on cigarettes? If getting off it, why do people spend $100 grand on heart surgery after cigarettes? People who die, let's say 11 years earlier, because they smoke, isn't it worth a few $100 to get them off cigarettes? So people will pay if the problem is big enough. People spend, what I found out the other week, or the other year, that I was spending something between $3,000 to $4,000 a year on coffee, just by spending like $15 a day. It is crazy what people spend money on. So that you have to change your money psychology. Don't just assume that no one has money. Don't think that just because perhaps if you don't have money that your client doesn't have money. So this is crazy, that this is where you really have to get out of that scarcity and into that abundance mindset. So myth busted. People out there have money. The economy is going on every day. It's just an excuse to say that people don't have money. The economy is a real thing. It's going on every day. Or I don't know how to give my client a result. Now this one is crazy because you learn from doing. You also learn from courses, but the main experience you'll get is actually by trying to help someone. So the chances are you've already done a course, but people go like, I need to do 50 million courses before I can see my first clients. Well, actually, you're never going to be an expert until you've actually started to help somebody. So again, this myth is busted because as you continue on as a hypnotherapist, what's going to happen is that you're going to get better and better and better and better and better. I've been doing this for nearly a decade now. And so on my first session, I thought I was pretty good because of what I learned. But I'm so much better today at doing hypnotherapy than I was back when I first started. So if you have a gap or something, a knowledge gap that you know that you need to fill, go and study that. But otherwise, just start trusting yourself, because people feeling they need to do like the hypnotherapy, then the NLP, then the life coaching, then the this, then the train the trainer, then the train the trainer's trainer course, and then they have to write 10 books before they're allowed to see their first customer, is crazy. Just go out there and actually start helping somebody. Next, too much competition in the industry of hypnotherapy. Again, this one is such a myth because there may be a lot of people who have studied it, but there are not a lot of people who are advertising it well. So again, this myth is busted because how many six-figure hypnotherapists are there out there? Not enough, if you ask me. And it's not because they don't know the hypnotherapy, it's because they don't know their marketing. That getting a certificate does not guarantee you a client base. Word of mouth, if you get, like, say, what we call, if 1 in 3 people send you another referral for word of mouth, then your business is going backwards. You need to get, like, if only 1 in 3 people send you one person, then your business has just become a third of what it was, and then a third, and then a third. So this is why it's so important. Learn the marketing, and that's why this myth is busted. Because there are so many problems out there. It's not just hypnotherapy that people are looking up. It's weight loss, anxiety, depression, insomnia. It's all these problems, relationship problems. So don't search for for people looking for hypnotherapy. Search for people who are looking for problems, and that's why this myth is so busted. I don't have the time to start a practice. Well, if I was to ask you, how much time do you think that you actually need to start a practice? Most people actually don't have a good answer to that question. The ones who have a good answer to the question aren't saying they don't have enough time. So how much time don't you have? What's the mathematical formula that says to you that this is how many hours short I am to building a practice? Is it 1 hour a week short to build a practice, or 2 hours a week short to build a practice? Now what this is busted because people don't know how much time they need, and so they're usually just overwhelmed. That's what this is. This is not I don't have enough time, it's that they don't know how to move forward. So that's why it's busted, because it's not about time. Because if you were to unpack the tasks that you need to do, or just list them, then you'd find that you can actually just start. You can start knocking off one job at a time. Next, it's too expensive to set up a practice. I don't have the money. Well, how much money do you think you need to start a hypnotherapy practice? So a lot of people might think that they need like a 20 or 50 or 100 grand loan in order to start a practice. But all you need is one client once. So you can even start with just $25 an hour to rent a room, or you can start for free at home, or you can do it over Skype. So you will furnish your office slowly over time as you get better and better at what you're doing. Like, it's one of the best industries in the world that you don't need to make it a whole massive brick and mortar business, like where you've got a factory, then you've got a client base, and you've got to liaison with suppliers. It's not like that. This is like one-on-one sessions that you're doing with people. So this myth is so busted because it's almost free to start up a practice. You need a box of tissues and a chair. Number 6, it's tough out there. The economy is down. Well, the economy is not down. The economy is just transforming. So old industries are going out of business and new ones are coming into business. Like Netflix is doing well and video stores are dying. That doesn't mean the economy's down. So there is no real sort of just economy just be up or down that's going to affect you. What's going to affect you is your ability to be able to describe problems to people, that you can advertise these problems, and then advertise solutions to these problems. So again, this myth is busted because there are always people with problems who always want to pay to make these problems go away. Next, I'm different, I can't do that or learn that skill, or that won't work for me. This is just an identity issue. This is just a self-esteem issue. It's fear. You've got to change the mindset in the head, change the language in the head from negative to positive. Literally, you can learn anything that you want. If you say, oh, I'm not good with web pages, I'm not good with clients, I'm not good with public speaking, I'm not good with marketing, I'm not good. There's no, like when a baby's born, the doctor doesn't say, oh, I'm very sorry, mum, but this baby's bad at marketing. Because that's ridiculous. So that's busted. Because everybody doesn't know how to do marketing until they learn it. Everybody doesn't know how to do hypnotherapy until they learn it. Everybody doesn't know how to do something on the computer until they learn how. It just means that you just haven't learned it, or you haven't practiced it, or you haven't given yourself a go, or you haven't gotten out of that fear mindset and stopped like the rubbishy conversation in the head and just move on with it. Just start. Next, it's someone else's fault. Outsourcing responsibility. I'm waiting on someone to do it for me. So again, this one's ridiculous. I'm going to say busted straight away because you need to come from cause, and anyone studying psychology perhaps may have come across that cause and effect principle, or that what they call efficacy of cause and effect, where if you want to succeed in this business, you can't just go, oh, it's not working. You need to make it work. You need to make it your responsibility to say either it works first go, or you have another go, or you have to ask for help, or that you need to find out what gaps, what knowledge gaps do you have. Look for someone that's working for and show them your stuff. And so you're the one taking responsibility for you. Nobody else can make you wealthy. No one else can make you successful. Only you can do it. So it's all up to you. It's always been up to you. And yes, you can do it. Next, money is evil isn't everything, or that's too salesish for me. The money blueprint. So some people who have this either myth in their head or the immature mindset, they're money avoiders. So everything in life is going to make you become, or ask you to become, an adult with what you're doing, how to succeed. So let's say that if you've got children, you can't just avoid the money issue. You've got to pay for their food and their shelter. So if you were just to say that money's evil, I'm going to let my children starve, busted. Because money's not evil, money's a tool. Now, greed can be evil if it's used to basically hurt others. As in, like, not just the greed, I want more for myself so I will work harder for it, but the greed, like, I will steal it from others. That's more of an evil, because then you're actually hurting others. So money's just a tool, like a knife can save lives if it's in the hands of a surgeon, but in the hands of someone who's really violent, it can kill somebody. So that is such a busted myth, that money's not evil. Money doesn't care about good or evil. Money just does whatever you do with it. So it's really that the pursuit of more isn't necessarily evil. Sometimes it's such a win-win example that to even have $1 million these days is really more just like a house than anything else. It's not like that owning a house and wanting to go on holidays is evil. So you're going to have to manage money in order to get this working. So whenever you say like, oh, I don't like sales, you may as well say I don't like my customers, because selling is an exchange when you talk to a human and you tell that human, look, I've got an offer for you. It's for a particular price, and you sell it to them. You tell them the features and the benefits, and they make their mind up, and you help persuade them through telling them the best parts of your program and the main reasons why they should do it. You just get better and better at it as you go. And that's how you bust the money myth. The last one, I don't know how to make it work. Now what this is about is that the person just hasn't done a course on how to make it work, or they just assume that even after learning it, that they're not going to be good at it. And this one's busted because we have the internet, we have online courses, we've got free ones, we've got paid ones, we've got seminars, we've got books. So if you wanted to, you could learn anything you want. If you wanted to learn cellular biology, you can literally type it into Google and start researching it straight away and start to get your first few facts. So that's the myth buster. The jump starter is to say that to really get this business going, this is what you need. So you need like 4 things. You need to have a program to sell. So that's like something to sell. So as a hypnotherapist, you're not selling like toasters, you're not selling ovens, you're not selling houses, you're not in real estate. You're selling yourself in a way. So this could be like the one-to-many when you're doing it on stage. It could be a book. This could be one-on-one sessions where you're selling programs of your time, which is the most common one. And so that's the one that we're going to start with, selling one-on-one sessions of your time to help others. Later on, we can talk about the one-to-many model, but you need a program that you can sell. The bottom left one with all of these like funny little circles, that one represents traffic, that you need people to come to your programs. The one that has the W's in it, that one represents a web page, that you need an offer out there in the marketplace online so that people can actually find you. So you need to bring traffic to that web page. So then the bottom right one, which is the phone, you need a phone script so that when people call you, you need to know what you're going to say in order to get them into your program. So they're the main 4 things that you need to get started. So as an absolute jump starter, this is like the bare minimum cost to start your industry, to start your career. So why have a program? Well, if you wanted to run 36 sessions per week, how many new clients would you need? So to answer that question, if you had a program that only had 1 session in it, you would need to advertise successfully and convert 36 people per week, brand new people every single week, into your clinic. Whereas if you had a program that had just 8 sessions, then you would only have to recruit 4 new bookings per week to fill your clinic up to 36 sessions. So what's going to be easier, trying to sell 36 or trying to sell 4? So you might be wondering, like, isn't it easier to sell a program that has 1 session in it instead of a program that has 8? No, it's actually not. It's actually easier to sell a program because it's easier to describe how much value that they actually get. People still have so many money myths that are not based on experience, but they're based on their inexperience. So people are doing this all the time and they find it so easy. So can you cure people from most conditions in only 1 session? Generally, no. Generally, what you need to do is to see people at least twice to find out how they've been after your first session. But then to course correct them, session 3 is the first session you can use after research, after you've introduced yourself to them in session 1, you've seen how they've gone on session 2. Now they've given you feedback about how they've gone. So in between session 2 and 3, you're actually researching how to help them on session 3. So session 3 is really your first course correction. And so 8 sessions is like an ideal amount to give people something that's not too many sessions, but it's a perfect amount that people will say yes to, and you can help people so deeply because you've got enough time to see them, because people have more than enough problems for you to be able to see them for more than 8 sessions. So are there mutual benefits for you and your client in selling programs? Absolutely. It's better for you because then you don't have to advertise to so many people per week, but it's better for them mainly because that instead of them just seeing you once and going, well, I hope it works for life, you can then continue to help them with more and more issues within your program. Next, find your topic. So this is just the jump starter to work out what your program's going to be about. So just for starters, pick your broad niche. And so it may be in health, relationships, money, time, or happiness. But that is just a really, really broad way of looking at all of the different things that you can potentially help people with. Now, obviously, it's so much easier to help advertise something narrow than something broad. And so just as an example, so if I was to say, like, I've got a program for health versus I have a program for quit smoking, people understand more what a quit smoking program is than just a broad health program. So that's why it's better to pick one measurable outcome at a time and only advertise that one measurable outcome at a time. So this will start to make sense as we go. So once you've picked your broad niche, whether it's health, relationships, money, time, or happiness, so on this page, narrow down your niche. And this sentence is something that really helps. So now going to your workbooks, I would like you to take the time now to pause this video and write out your version of the sentence. So I help who do what by what, without what, so that what benefit. Sorry, that's supposed to say benefit. So with that, I help who. Who is not necessarily a demographic like they have white or brown skin, male, female in a particular age. In fact, it's not about that at all. What it's actually about is you're not selling to a person, you're selling to a circumstance. And just to explain that a little bit better, is that if I'm selling a pizza, I'm not trying to sell it to a skin color, an age, a gender, or so much just maybe a location because I want local. But what I'm actually selling it to is hungry people who like pizza. Does that make sense? That's all I care about when selling pizza. I want to sell it to hungry people who like pizza. So when you say I help who, find the problem or the ambition that your client's currently going through and write that down as your answer as to who. And then what is it that you help them do? So if you were selling pizza, it would be, I help hungry people who like pizza by, I give them pizza, the best pizza. So do what by what is achieve one outcome by what method. So your method is where you now bring back not just your modality, but you have the name of your program. So for my smoking program, I would call it, I help smokers to quit by using the 6 triggers of hypnotherapy without patches, pills or drugs, so that they can stay off the cigarettes and live a healthier, better, happier life. So that's the I help who do what by what without. I'd like you to pause this video now and open up your workbook and have a go at it. Show bag your program. So once you've got just like the general niche or then the specific niche of what you're doing, show bag is an acronym that we've come up with to help you explain it to people. So like when I say, if you've been in my classes before, if I say show it to me, show actually means system, how it works, outcome, why it's important. And bag is brandable acronyms or annotations or just anchoring in general. And then generosity. So let's get into them one by one. System. Take the time now to name your program. Your program name should contain your topic. So don't just call it Wonderfulness System or Wonderfulness Program. So when I say Quit Smoking Hypnotherapy Program, that's actually my topic. No one needs to ask any further questions as to what the program's actually about if I say it's my Quit Smoking Hypnotherapy Program. So what's yours? Is it your weight loss program? Is it your run faster program? Is it your improve your marriage and stop fighting program? So take the time and write it down. How it works. How many sessions does your program have? What are the pillars of your program? So for instance, in mine, I say that in my 6-figure track program, we have the 3 pillars of get leads or phone numbers. The next one, get sales or bookings. And the third one is to deliver an excellent service. They're my pillars. In my smoking program, I say that there's the 6 triggers of hypnotherapy. But just to basically summarize them down to 3, the smoking program has the nicotine addiction, the habits, and then the emotional battles. They're the 3 pillars of our quit smoking program. Then what's your price? Inclusions, what do they get? As in, like, is it a CD set and a manual? Are there any events that will happen in the program? Like, what can they expect, as in outcomes or promise? Next, the actual outcome. So this is like what I say in my quit smoking hypnotherapy program, that most people quit by the end of the first session. Because it's true, most people do. The ones that need the lifetime guarantee, generally they're ones that are putting up with a little bit more stress in their life. So with what results will your client get at the end? What case study or outcome promise proves that your client is in good hands? So again, for my 6-figure track program, what I describe to people is that most of my clients can get leads within the first week or 2, and then we start to work on the sales. So the outcome of my program, 6-figure track, is the 6-figure hypnotherapy outcome, if that makes sense. Next is the why. What will your client's life be like after your program? Why is it important that your client gets this benefit or outcome in their lives? So this is more about a lifestyle example, as in that if my clients that quit smoking, the benefit to their lifestyle is they get to be a role model for the kids, they get to be healthier, they find themselves living longer, they find themselves not being so short of breath all the time, and that's the why. The same as with my 6-figure track clients, they get to be supported the whole way through, they get to build a business that they love, and they get to have that freedom to, like, not to have a boss, but they get to do whatever they want with their lives. So that's the SHOW acronym. Then BAG starts with B for brandable. What makes your brand memorable? How are you building trust with the market? Is there a hook that you like to use to make people remember who you are? And do you have a logo? So this is about getting into people's heads. Anchors. So we had acronyms on the other page. An acronym is another way of anchoring to make people remember what you do. Like the SHOW BAG acronym, that's an acronym. It's also an anchor. It helps people understand and remember what they're doing. So do you use a framework, acronyms, alliterations, diagrams, or anything else to describe your pillars? And so people tend to know what an acronym is. The alliteration is generally when you've got 2 words that start with the same letter. It's like the Coca-Cola thing. It's like the CC. But that's basically what an alliteration is. You're wanting to help people. So like we've got like, for us, a system of 4 words that start with the same letter in the 4 S's, which is what we call the state, study, strategy, and stamina. So they're the 4 S's to get anything done. So you might find that you might have pillars that you turn into alliterations or into an acronym. Next, generous. This is so important that once you work out that your effort's not wasted, people really do appreciate it, it becomes so easy to give it. But you've got to celebrate yourself every step of the way. So are you giving the marketplace more than everyone else? Because that obviously helps with their advertising and your word of mouth, your reputation. But how could you up your game? Really up your game, because you've got more on you to give, to make sure that people know that you give amazing value. Next, web pages. This is literally so easy that it's not the 80s or 90s anymore, that we're in a stage of history where you can make web pages in 5 minutes. I've done, through just recently, another opt-in page video, where I think the video went for 7 minutes because I was making a mistake, but I could have done that in 3. If I do it again, like on the Vistaprint page, I can make an opt-in page in 3 minutes, I promise. So what free tools can you play with today to make your own web page in minutes? So it can be Wix, Weebly, Vista. I'm not sure if they're free still, but write them down just to prove to yourself that web pages are easy and they don't cost an arm and a leg. So what goes on a web page? Have a go. Pause the video before moving on and just ask yourself, if you have a web page, well, for starters, what do you actually want it to do? Do you want it to brand you to get an idea out there, or do you want it to be more direct? Do you want it to actually get you clients? If you want your web page to get you clients, we recommend the HOC method. And the HOC stands for the headline, which is the topic or problem. So on my smoking page, it will say, quit smoking, or can't quit, or what's your excuse? All those things that are basically related to cigarettes. The offer is the name of your program, the price, and then what they get, and then the benefits. Then the call to action is either just the call now or the phone number, but it's even better to have a capture box that says, give us your name, email address, phone number, and then it tells them what to do next, which says, click here to make an appointment, and then it takes them to the thank you page, and on the thank you page, it then says, we'll contact you within 24 hours to book you in. So that's the HOC. So breaking it down a little further, the headline. What size should your headline be? Well, it should be big. What should your headline say? It shouldn't say hypnotherapy, coaching, or NLP. It should say the problem. And where should your headline be? Well, it should be right at the top in the middle. Perhaps just under the banner. So even on this page where you can see headline, the word headline is the headline. Web page is just like the banner text. So what is your headline? Take some time, write your headline down. Next, the offer. What is an offer? What goes in an offer that we just covered, which is the name of your program, the steps, the price, and benefits. And why have an offer on your webpage? As in, why not just brand yourself by going, look at me, hypnotherapy. Aren't I good? Isn't hypnotherapy good? What's the point of having an actual offer that you offer to people online that they can respond to? Imagine that you go to McDonald's and you just go, well, can I have a burger, please? And they're like, well, we don't have a set menu. We just more kind of do burgers and stuff. So what do you want? And you're like, look, I don't know. Can I just have something? So when you make an offer, you've actually packaged up a program already, and now you can sell it. And the program is what we did in the show, where you talk about show and what happens in your program. So write out your program offer now. Pause the video, go to the workbooks, and do it now. There's no point just listening to this video without doing the workbook. Next, call to action. What is a call to action? What is it? It's something that actually tells you what to do next, or it tells your customer or client what to do next. Why do you need a call to action? Because if you don't, they won't do it. And then where should your call to action go? This is what we call above the fold. So if your client has to scroll down to find your button that says make an appointment, no good. It needs to be all on the page they land on. So design your call to action now. And this is where we usually have it say, for us, we make it say, You're halfway there. Give us your name, email address, phone number, and then click here to make an appointment. I would like for you now, in the workbook again, just to have a go at drawing your draft web page. So even if you're terrible at technology so far and you'll get better at it later, have a go. Actually draw your web page. Because if you don't, then again that standoff happens. So what goes on your web page? So let's say at the top you've got a banner. Then you've got, let's say, like your location, maybe your phone number, maybe open hours. And then what else goes on a web page? Is it the hook? Is it the headline, offer, call to action? So have a go at drawing it now, just so you get an idea of to what you want your web page to look like. Tools. Now, again, I'd like you to stop the video and list 10 free tools to make your web page. It's important you actually do these steps, because once you've filled this out, you're like 80% of the way finished to actually building a business. Next, traffic sources. What is traffic? What's your definition? To me, what I would call it is it's finding sources of people who are interested in what it is that you do, interested in paying you for what you do. These people may be cold, these people may be hot, but they're still traffic. So just write down your definition. Pause the tape again, pause the webinar again, and have a go. Next, name 10 traffic sources. So this could be like just looking at like all the little circles. Is it Google, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Yahoo, Twitter? All of these are traffic sources. Write down some offline sources. Networking events. Word of mouth. Write down some traffic sources. Google. So when setting up AdWords, an AdWords ad, what should you measure? So just to give you a hint, click-through rate's a good one. What else? What could you measure? Cost per click? Is it costing you $1 or $10? Just have a go. Just have a go thinking through, like, well, what would you measure if someone found your ad on Google and they clicked on it? Would you measure how many clicks you got? Just have a go. Again, stopping the video and write down what would you measure. And again, like after the first section, we're going to be going deep, super deep into traffic. So don't worry right now that we're not going too deep into the actual traffic. We're just giving an overview. Facebook. How is Facebook different from Google? So if you've got to market to someone on Google, obviously they're searching for you, but what are people doing on Facebook? They're not looking for your business, they're just scrolling. How would that affect the way you market on Facebook? So let's say that if you're going to advertise to warm leads, maybe one idea would be you look for your warm leads on Google, and you look for your colder leads, an abundance of cheap leads on Facebook, and then you retarget those people on Google. So this is something that we can get into later, obviously in later webinars. But once you've had something like, once you get to that point where you're doing so well that you're just doing, like, say, 100 new email addresses and phone numbers per week, imagine plugging that data back into Google by having a tracking pixel from Google that anyone who lands on your thank you page for downloading your ebook, imagine advertising onto Google to those people again. The next time they search for whatever your problem is that you help people with, like it could be smoking, it could be weight loss, they've already shown you they're interested. Imagine showing up for just those people who have already downloaded your ebook. And that's something we can talk about later, but not in this particular video. It's a bit advanced for this video. This is a jumpstart video so far. Next, YouTube. Name 2 ways you can advertise on YouTube. And what would you say in your ad? Obviously, we have the sales offer acronym that we use, which is what anyone says on stage or in webinars to sell. And we'll cover that later. Not even in this webinar, but we'll cover it later. It'll be in the online material. But what would you say? And what do I mean by 2 ways of advertising on YouTube? So it could be that you put up a free video, or that you film a video and you go into Google AdWords and you actually pay for views. So Google AdWords isn't just about advertising on Google. Google AdWords lets you advertise your videos in YouTube to targeted markets, which is pretty cool. Next, the phone script. So just before the break in this particular webinar, phone script, appointment program pause. I'd like you to write out your phone script, have a go using this formula, and just to take you through it. Appointments is the first thing you say, as in they call you and you say, this is for hot leads. They ring you up and they say, hi, is that place where you do quit smoking or weight loss or anxiety, depression? I'm like, yeah, are you calling to make an appointment? And then if they say yes, you basically say, you go on with the booking. If they say, first I need to know a little bit more about it, you tell them about the program, as in like with my smoking program first. The program is the 2 sessions of hypnotherapy plus a 2-disc CD set. It's $395, that covers everything, including the lifetime guarantee, which means you get to come back free of charge for life. Or whatever your script is, whatever your program is. And then you pause and let them speak. So I'd like you to write your own phone script. You can pause the video and have a go. So if they say yes, like you say, are you calling to make an appointment? Get straight to the booking. Just book them in. So have a go at what would you say if they say yes? And so what I want you to get into, if they just say yes, just start finding times for them to book into. If not yes, talk about your programs. Remember show, system, how it works, outcome and why. Take your answers from there and start developing it into your phone scripts. So if not yes, they're like, oh, first, can you tell me how like this whole NLP, smoking, weight loss, hypnotherapy thing works? I'm like, yeah, it's a program. It's this many sessions of hypnotherapy, features, price, benefit. Binary answers. So if they just say yes straight away, yeah, I want to book in, these are the binary answer booking questions. So are you looking for a morning or an afternoon? So like they say, yeah, can I book in? Yeah, of course. So are you looking for a morning or afternoon, weekday or weekend? Have a go at writing what you would say. Finally, email them with a client questionnaire and a confirmation of appointment. All of this is on quitsmokingtraining.com, where you can download my questionnaire and my confirmation of appointment and my 2-hour seminar that are recorded at the Academy of Hypnotic Science, where I taught, where 86 people responded to my first ad. So come and learn how to do quit smoking hypnotherapy. So what are you sending your clients after a booking call? Are you sending a confirmation of appointment and a client questionnaire? So obviously that I'm using this slide for something else as well. So this is the break. So what we're going to cover next is how to get 100 new phone numbers per week. All right, let's keep going. So, how to get 100 leads per week. The marketing, sales, spectrum. So this is a concept that I really want to help people to understand, to grasp, that there's a real scarcity mindset out there. Like there's people going, you can't get 100 leads per week, or how can you promise that? And it's like, well, just think about it. Like, how many people are on the planet? What's a lead? So literally, like, let's say that you could like knock on 100 doors in a day. Either you're good at convincing them that they should follow you, or you're bad at convincing them that they should follow you. And that's a skill that you can learn and get better at. So people who are skeptical about, like, is it possible to get 100 leads per week? I've had students, get, 25 leads in a day and 100 leads in a week. Like, I've done it, they've done it. It's not impossible. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Like, it's just crazy just how many actual people exist. And so the scarcity mindset is causing them more harm than anything else, their ability to market. Because I promise you, it's not just about how many people exist. The same as like with inflation. Like, you remember how with the whole Dr. Evil character from Austin Powers, like when he time traveled and said like, I want to hold the world ransom for $1 million, and all the world leaders laughed at him because 1 million doesn't mean much these days. And then back in the past, he said like, I want to hold the world ransom for $100 billion, and they've gone, there's not even that much money in the planet, back in the 60s. Well, there's no way they could get that much. It's like, you may have well said infinity dollars. So with inflation, that the amount of money on the planet keeps going up. With growth of population, the amount of people on the planet keeps going up. So every year, like, you've got like more people, and you've got more money on the planet. So getting 100 leads per week should be the least of your worries. It's a technique that we'll talk about. But getting into the marketing/sales spectrum. So marketing's on one side and sales is on the other. So marketing is where you're getting a lead, and sales is where you're then taking their money in exchange for a product or service. The way I want you to think of this is that you can either have a long marketing sequence or a long sales sequence. So kind of look at this. When do you make the offer along the spectrum? Do you make it early on when they haven't heard about you? Or do you make the offer later on when they have heard about you? Obviously, it's easier to make the sale after like 10 years of poking at them. Maybe it's harder because they're not a customer in that field anymore, perhaps, or maybe they've passed on. However, when do you make the offer? Early or late? So I want you to take a look at this. So if you make the offer early, it's a long sales sequence, it's the coldest leads, but it's the easiest marketing, and this is where you can easily get 100 leads. If you're new, then you should definitely be starting here. Like if you don't already have like a multi-million-dollar business, just start here at do a little bit of marketing to get lots of leads in, get them in cold, and spend more time on the phone with them. Because the more time you spend on the phone with people, the better you get at the marketing, so that later on you can rely on the computer and videos to do all of the warming and leads up first. But there's two types of businesses you can have. You can have a growth, or you can have a system business. So a system business is where you start with millions of dollars already. You hire the best staff, like you hire the best general managers and the best business builders for you. And it's basically nearly guaranteed to work because you've just done it so many times before. So that's like for celebrities and multimillionaires. But a growth business are people who basically just like start the business and they learn as they go. And so that's the best type that you should be in. So the other is, besides what you should be doing, which is on the left, the long sales sequence. The other is the long marketing sequence, where you get the hottest leads and the easiest sales. This is not something that you should be aiming for yet. This is something that you should develop by doing the groundwork of actually talking to people and being like on the phone with people and seeing clients face to face. Then you basically raise your performance to being more organized, when then you're on stage and you're training heaps of people, and then you write a book so that even more people can see your stuff, or you build online courses so that even more people can get your stuff, and then you get the internet to do the selling for you. But to begin with, the easiest way to actually get better and better at sales and marketing is to spend more time with your customers. Whether they're paying you or not right now, it's the easiest way to find out what they're thinking, is spend some time with them, interview them, ask them questions, try to sell them something, sell them a service, and go to help them through the service, and see what happens, see what you learn along the way. So that's why, to get the 100 leads per week, the technique that we're going to be using is to do a minimal amount of marketing so that you can spend more time and sophistication in the sales process. This is what will help you get to your goal overall faster. So start with cold leads, offer a gift, and get 100 phone numbers. So how are we going to do that? The strategy is you send traffic from places like either networking, YouTube, Google, or Facebook over to your opt-in page in exchange for an ebook. So you have an opt-in page that asks them for their name, email address, and phone number. They click the button and then they get the ebook. You get the contact details, you call them, and then you can attempt to sell them or book them in. That's how easy it is. But let's go through the steps as to how to actually make this happen. So let's smash out 4 ebooks. If you can smash out 4 ebooks in a week, then you can get 100 leads in a week. It's basically that simple, that my clients can quite easily, or my students can quite easily, build 1 ebook and get 25 leads in a week. It's not that hard. What's really important is that you make sure that you spend the time learning about your market. So smash out 4 ebooks. How are we going to do that? First, you write your headline. Now, there's a particular method that I like to do to make sure that your headline is really, really good, and that's read their mind, basically. And so this is what we call the DDFF, which stands for Dreams, Desires, Fears, and Frustrations. And so the way that I like you to think about the DDFF is, first, you've got the map of the future and the now. So your clients have needs right now, and they have future needs. They also have pain they're trying to avoid and pleasure they're trying to get to. This is pretty much a map of how your client thinks. Now, dreams, desires, fears, and frustrations just goes on this map. So there's dreams, desires, fears, and frustrations. What I want you to do is to write out 25 dot points for each dreams, desires, fears, and frustrations. Now, this is not about your dreams, desires, fears, and frustrations. This is about your client's dreams, desires, fears, and frustrations. So this could mean that, like, whatever your niche is, like when you have the I help who do what by what without, what you're actually saying here is, what is it that your client is dreaming of? So if it's weight loss, they're dreaming of wearing a bikini at the beach for the first time and not being embarrassed. They're dreaming of fitting into their wedding dress and not being embarrassed. The desires could be something like much shorter, as in like in the meantime, like I just like to breathe better. The fears could be that they might fear that they're going to die sooner, or that nobody will love them unless they change their appearance or health. So the frustrations could be that on a daily basis they find themselves looking in the mirror, not having their clothes fit, and not feeling loved. All those different things. I want you to map them out, because until you get inside your client's head of what they could be thinking, it's almost impossible to write the headline that's going to get you 100 leads per week. But this technique can absolutely help you get the 100 leads per week, 100 phone numbers per week. No worries, if you nail the headline. So then once you've done your DDFF, you've done 25 for each, so that's 100 dot points. 25 for dreams, 25 for desires, 25 for fears, 25 for frustrations. Then check out this headline template. So 5 simple steps to desire without frustration. So there's meant to be a bracket around frustration. So anything that has brackets is something that you replace with something else that you already have. So 5 simple steps to, what could you say there? 5 simple steps to fit into your clothes without them bursting open. Or how to 3 times your, what is it? Like 3 times your relationship, 3 times your, what is it that you wrote down for desire? What do they actually desire? So like if you're in, let's say, the sports industry, how to 3 times your sports performance, like, but something more narrow than just sports performance. Come up with something so narrow that it makes sense to them. How to 3 times your golf swing. How to 3 times your, what would you say? Close rate in business, without ever having to, and then the thing they fear the most, speak in public. How to 3 times your sales close without having to ever speak in public. Does that make sense? So that you just take what's on your DDFF and you put them into the desires, fears, dreams, frustrations there. A case study, that's just literally that you just leave the words case study there inside those brackets. And you say how I went from fear to dream without frustration. How I went from nearly dying to nearly dying of poor health to having a 6-pack without cutting or without dieting. If that makes sense, like dieting to frustration. So whatever it is that you're saying that in your DDFF, just put it into the template. How frustration, as in like how arguing every day with my partner helped me to achieve the marriage of my dreams. So that's a very, very interesting headline that people might then click on in order to get your ebook about it. And then 20 simple steps to whatever it is that you say. 20 simple steps to find the lover of your dreams. 20 simple steps to becoming way healthier. 20 simple steps to not winning the lottery, but something that you can literally help them with your knowledge. And then, where it says 20 subpoints, in your ebook, once you've got a headline, if your ebook headline was 20 steps, then you would have 20 subpoints. If it was 7, then you would have 7. If it was like, your headline was like 47 ways to achieve something, then you would have 47 dot points. And so make your paragraphs just not too big, not too small, but like anywhere between 75 words or 200. 200 is probably too much. 75 words per paragraph is heaps. That it's just a really, really short ebook because you're wanting to smash out 4 of these in a week, remember. Then headlines are big with space above them. So often people are making headlines that don't even look like a headline. Like often, like people make ebooks where it's just ugly slabs of text. So do a little bit of paragraphing. Do a little bit of like making it look good. So paragraphing, keep it clean and no ugly slabs of text. Even just that picture that says title and then some paragraphs under it, it just looks so much better than sometimes what people can produce when they're looking to make an ebook. So like check your spelling, check your sentence structure, make sure that you've got full stops in the right places. Just make sure that it reads well. Get someone else to read it out and see that if the way they read it is the way that you put your emphasis on particular words. So make sure that it just reads well, just make it look nice, clean and beautiful. But don't then just start tying it up with like borders, boxes and a million fonts. Because like, see with this, stick to Arial. Fancy doesn't work. Don't over-design the look of your ebook to the point where it looks like, quite frankly, quite disgusting. So that's sometimes what people do. So next, cover design. So on your opt-in page, you're going to want to have, and in your Facebook ad, you're going to want to have a picture of your actual ebook. So go to adazing.com/cover-mocks, and you can basically just upload a picture, like a flat picture, of the front page of your ebook, and it'll actually turn it into like a 3D book design, which is so cool. That the tools we have today, I am so grateful for, because I didn't design this page. This isn't my page. Cover design at adazing.com cover mocks is just one of the services that are out there on the internet that someone in their business has decided to put that out for you. So it's amazing what people already have on the internet just ready to help you with. So this is some examples of some of my ebook designs. So as you can see that they're just like nice, clean, and just have like maybe a headline. Sometimes they have a picture, but that's what they tend to come out looking like. The opt-in page should be simple. So you can see on mine that it's not over-designed, just how to repair a marriage in 20 steps, picture of a couple. Usually I'd put the picture of an ebook there, but in this case I haven't, but it's still something that seems to make sense to them. But it's so much better if you actually put the picture of the ebook and then download your free guide now, name, phone, email. And that's how quick, that's how easy it is to make the whole ebook. It's just that you don't want to overthink this, you don't want to over-design it. Next, the Facebook ad. So here's an example of what my How to Repair a Marriage in 20 Steps looks like. Headline and picture of the ebook. That's it. So obviously you have some text above it and below it. The headline below it is the most important part. But you can see that it's promising an ebook. So this is what my ads will look like. So one that says, free guide, 40 hypnotherapy clients per week. Another one that says, download your free hypnotherapy practice guide. 20 rules of phone numbers and sales. And that's what it looks like. So then, if you want to do it on a real budget, find 16 Facebook groups in your field of practice and follow the rules, of course, but then dump in your ads so that you don't have to be paying for so much traffic. Just dump in copies of your ads. So like just going back to like say the previous slide where you can see that like what we've got is pictures of my ebook. I put those into some Facebook groups and I started getting leads straight away, like for like almost nothing. I got in my first month like 70 phone numbers by just putting those out. It's incredible. So that was like from like just putting into 1 or 2 groups. You can get 100 if you do the 4 the 4 ebooks. So drop those Facebook ads of 4 ebooks into at least 4 different Facebook groups. Or if you find 16 Facebook groups over the next 4 weeks, just dump 1 book per week into those groups and just watch the phone numbers come in, because it's amazing. Obviously I've got other videos and opt-in pages, but this is the overall strategy that we're looking at. So the next part of this webinar is the sales intensive. How to close at 80%. So as we were talking about with the marketing and sales spectrum, is that what you're doing with the ebooks to get the 100 leads per week is literally just to open up how many phone numbers you get, getting them cold. And then the sales intensive is where we're actually going to be talking about then how to convert those people. So obviously the first technique is a free, you just call them and you book in a free strategy session. So this is where you just talk to them a little bit about why they downloaded the ebook, and you find out what they're working on, what the problem is, and you're like, yeah, I've got the perfect solution for that. So I'll just book you in for a free strategy session just like this, and I can tell you the technique that we use. Just book them in. It's a free strategy session between 45 minutes and perhaps even up to an hour and a half. Once you've converted those phone numbers into free booking sessions or free strategy sessions where you don't charge them for anything, you basically just book them in and help them with something, This is what to say in the actual free strategy session. So the next part, the sales process. Alright, so with the sales process, what this is using human psychology that we understand, that the human brain works best when it follows a system. So human psychology it's the same in every country, just the cultures are different. But the human nervous system is basically the same everywhere. We all basically live off the same feelings, the same styles of thoughts, the same styles of like we all move towards pleasure, we all move away from pain. But there are rules to like what it is that we want. That we find ourselves like using what we believe in order to tell us how to act, in order to get to where we're doing to. Essentially, human psychology is the same just everywhere. So there's like what you call like the 4 F's that people want. So there's like the fight, which is to like to get ahead and win territory. There's the flight, which is to get out of there, to self-preserve. There's the food, which is to eat it, and then there's the familiar, which is to be family with, or to be friendly with, or to mate with. Any of those, where they're kind of like the 4 feelings that we have to deal with, and they're the same everywhere. So the same like with the group on the right, which seems to be modern day person, or the sort of caveman person, the original sort of people on the left. So it's kind of it's the same. Like we all want roughly the same things. We may have different versions of how we explain it to ourselves, but this is the way that the sales system works, is that the best result is a system, because the system takes human psychology and tells you to basically to follow it. So, the 4 I's. This is the 4 I's of how people make an actual decision. So interpretation, interest, introspection, and interactions. So interpretation is like, what's that? As in like, imagine like something just falls out of the sky. The first 0 to 2 seconds, you're trying to work out what is it. You're trying to get your bearings. So in a sales call or face-to-face, that the very first 2 seconds is going to make the biggest impact out of anything. And so on the phone, you need to make sure that you sound good. So pictures if, like say face-to-face, if somebody comes to your clinic, house, or a meeting, or at a cafe, wherever you go, in order to make the sale, how you look is going to be very, very important. So you groom yourself. So the same as if any man, woman, guy, girl, whoever spends a little bit of time in front of the mirror looking at how they look, what they're trying to do is they're trying to control the interpretation that the world has over who they are and how much value they have, which is perfectly fine. Like we all do it. We always basically look at ourselves in some way and say, how can we make ourselves look better for the world to get a better result out of it? And it affects the first 0 to 2 seconds of how someone treats us. So looking at this guy, that you would literally get a different response out of some people, depending if he's wearing the doctor's outfit or just has like the sleeveless t-shirt with the tattoos. So not to say that like he's a different person on the left as what he is on the right, because he is the same person. This guy is the same guy in both photos. However, he just appears differently, and so often he can get treated differently because of his appearance. So that his appearance on the left obviously gives people they interpret him as being a professional, and on the right, it's a lot more open to like personal interpretations as to how somebody does or does not judge a person who has tattoos and a sleeveless t-shirt. Sounds is the main one that you deal with on the phones, and that's all about not just volume, not just like how loud or soft you are, but it's about your tonality. So you want to come across really confident. You want to make sure that you know what you're saying on the phone, but you come across instead of like a little bit shy. You need to make sure that you're in the lead, that people know that this is what you're doing, that you're certain about what you're doing, and your tone expresses so. So next is interest, the must-have. So this is like the next 10 seconds. So after people have interpreted you, then they're going to find out with what you say next, does it actually interest them? So this is where you've got to blow their mind with value. You've got to give them a context that is relevant, that's impressive, and it's something that they understand straight away. So that's why with my 6-figure track program, I talk to people about the pillars of that. What we get people to follow is get leads, make the bookings, and give excellent service. These are my pillars. So if I'm doing the quit smoking pillars again, I talk about literally just the nicotine addiction, the habit, and the emotional battle. They get like a context which then makes them understand it. They're like, oh, okay, I understand, I'm interested. So we've gone from interpretation to like, what you have said is a headline or a hook that actually makes me think that I'm interested in what you have to say. So people judge this very quickly within 10 seconds. The next one, introspection. This is to do with the emotions you make them feel, so that you don't just want to make you sound smart in front of them. You want to make them feel smart as well, because how they feel will control what happens on the sale. This is between the 2 to 30 minutes. That if you say things to them that give them pain and pleasure, as in that you do like what we call like the 3 breakthroughs in an offer. So the 3 breakthroughs, the first breakthrough is give them hope. You know what? You can actually achieve this health relationship, time, money, or happiness goal. But then the second breakthrough is you take hope away and you say, like, but you know what? You probably won't, because you haven't done anything towards it that's really going to make it happen. And the third breakthrough is to give hope back and say, but if you get help, as in like if you stop just doing it all alone, then you can actually get there. Does that make sense? So that you're offering your services where you don't give them an offer to join your program until after you've made them feel up, down, and up again. Because following that is down again, to say that if they don't join your program, hope is taken away. That it's like, okay, well then they feel that if you're removing the offer and saying, well, if you don't book in, or if you don't give like the card deposit, if you don't do what we're telling you to do, we can't let you into the program. So that feelings, when I was saying that human psychology is people moving towards pleasure and away from pain, this is the stuff that's going to sell your program. Next. So you want to make them feel empowered. You want to get them to look at the future. You want them to think that, make them feel empowered because you've given them hope, as in that the future is coming and it's going to be amazing. However, also do make them laugh, because like when they laugh, they feel. When they laugh, they learn. So people are listening to your facts if you tell them some funny things. So interactions this is the fourth eye that actually controls the decisions that people make. And so you see like where it says social proof, that people want to know if you are pre-selected. And so that's where, that for life, people will come to you just because other people come to you. It's like the first round of people come because you have a good topic, and then the final round of people come to you because everyone else is coming to you. It's like tip-in, that everybody wants to be part of the tribe. So you talk about case studies as proof that you have other students, or you talk about case studies to say that this is the decision that other people are making. See this guy that's being kissed by 2 girls? Generally people get the impression that he's pre-selected, as in like he's already the kind of guy that perhaps girls might like. And so if he was basically being excluded, like let's say if ever you've seen someone who's being bullied in school, back when you were in school, everyone else then also started to bully them as well, or everyone else started to exclude them, and they've gone, that's a weird kid, don't talk to them. Then everyone just falls into that group behaviour. So that's why you've got to use case studies to tell people that this is a program that people like. So the phone script, this is the actual scripts that we're going to be using to create the actual sale. Alright, so the phone script starts with your topic. So this is where, like, after you've actually started the sales call, you've already talked to them once for the free booking session, which is sort of the free strategy session, and this is your actual free strategy session starting now. So I want you to be able to stop this video and write down what you would say at the start of the conversation. So after hello, you need to take charge of the conversation and say, great, you made it. So we're on the phone together, and today what we're doing is that we're going to help you with this thing. So write down what your topic is, because without the topic, the conversation just falls apart. This is where you're setting the tone, this is where you're setting the intention, and this is where you're literally making the biggest part of the sale, because you're making them understand that this is what this moment's about. The next part of the phone script is about the future, goal clarity. So what specifically, like you need to make sure that you go through them with this, with the goal clarity, to the point where they're having a breakthrough. The definition that I like to use of what a breakthrough is It's literally where you take them to somewhere they haven't been before. And so this could be where you ask them so specifically, what is it you want? And then you just keep rejecting their definition, because you go like, yeah, I sort of get that, but what do you really want? I'm really not quite understanding it yet. And they say, well, I think that what I want is health. Yeah, that's a bit broad, that's a bit vague. Specifically, what is it that you want? Can you tell me with absolute clarity what you want? And just tell them, like, you know, if you can't tell me with clarity what you want, like, be in the lead on the conversation. If you can't tell me with clarity what you want, then I can't help you and you can't help yourself. So just take a moment and tell me specifically, what is it that you actually want? If it's a relationship thing, if it's a health thing, if it's a business thing, they need to be able to tell you, or else not only you won't make the sale, but you're not going to make the breakthrough. You're not going to be able to help them. So never move on from this point until you've got a clear goal. What do they actually want? Why do they want it? Why is it so important? Like, what are they willing to do to get there? So it's how clearly can they describe to you, or reject it and ask them again. Just tell me again, tell me more clearly. Like what we've got so far, that you've said that in the future you want to be healthier. But how far into the future and how healthy, and how do you measure that? How are you going to know that once you're in the future that you're looking back and you're going, yep, this is health? How do you measure it? So this is where you also drop in the case study. And so I'll talk about the case study soon, but literally that as people are telling you about the goal, this is where you introduce your product and your price inside of a case study, but you don't actually tell them to buy your program. So the same as like with my 6-figure track program. I don't say to people, buy my program. I say like, well, what do you want? Because the clients of my group, the only way they come into 6-figure track, which is the program for hypnotherapists to help them to reach 6 figures. It's a $5,000 program. To let them in, they have to tell me exact clarity on what they want. So you get how like I've used like almost a case study or a generic case study there, where I've actually dropped in the price and the name of the program and the fact that I have a program, but then I've moved on and put pressure on them to tell me what their goal is. So this is that later on, I get to call on the fact that they already know that I have a program and what the price is without them freaking out. Does that make sense? So this is what I want you to do as well. So once you're ready to move on from goal clarity, because I've told you what the goal is, next, it's about now. So before, remember like with the DDFF, where it has future and now? So that was the future. This one is current circumstances. Now you need to do the same thing again with this one. You need to get absolute clarity, and you need to drop in case studies and say, well, my students or my clients or my whoever they are, this is what they do and it works really well. But you need to, with current circumstances, ask them where they're up to. So with your health, so if it's a health niche, with your health, where are you up to right now? As in like, well, we know what your goal is. We know where you want to be. How far along are you? Just so we know what the gap is. What have you tried in the past? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And so then, again, this is a good spot for you to drop in case studies. So when they say that, like, look, what I've got right now is like that I'm just 50 kilos overweight, or that I am about 5 to 10 kilos overweight, but I have zero time and I don't know what I'm doing. Again, this is the perfect time to drop in your case studies and say, yep, absolutely, like the clients that I see, just like you, that do my, whatever it is, like my $1,600 health program, hypnotherapy, which is the 8 sessions of hypnotherapy at $200 a session, when they get in, they start there too, but like a lot of people start worse than that. And so this is the technique that they use to get ahead. So this is not just a sales session. The sales is actually the least of this whole thing. What you're doing is really that you're adding value to them in a way where they realize that you're the expert that can help them. But they need to know as well that you're not just there to sell, that you're actually really seriously having a free strategy session with them. So then, obstacles. This is between the reality, this is between what we call the current circumstances and the goal clarity. So to get to the goal from the current circumstances, obstacles are in the way. I want you to write down some obstacles in your phone script. But when you're talking to them, what could some obstacles be? I want you to find out from them, find out 3 obstacles and be in the lead. Ask them, when you're asking them this question, ask them, tell me 3 things that could actually stop you or have stopped you in the past from actually getting that goal. And if they give you like basically a rubbish answer, absolutely reject it. And they go, oh, just me, I suppose. I guess like, I could just be like a little bit more proactive. And you're like, no, that's not really an answer. What could really stop you? Because like with you, you're always going to be around you, so we can't make you go away from yourself. So what is it? Like if it's you, what part of you? Like is it a behavior? Is it a mindset? Specifically, make me understand what your obstacles are. So you have to talk to them in a way when you're teaching them that this is not a rubbish or a fake conversation. This is a real conversation when you really, really want to help them. You really, really, really want to find out what their obstacles are. And if you don't get a proper answer, you can't get a proper result out of them. Does that make sense? And again, drop in a case study and say, well, we had clients with your exact issue and the obstacles. Like we had someone who actually came from worse than what your obstacle was, that they were twice as busy as you, twice as unhealthy as you, twice as, money poor, time poor, everything poor as what you were. And this is the technique they used. And blow them mind, give them value. Don't worry about like giving away too much value up front, because if you're really an expert in what you do, giving away one little technique is not going to make or break you. So the case studies is something that you've got to be dropping in the whole time. So there's the three parts: the goal clarity, current circumstances, and obstacles. The whole time you need to be dropping in a case study. So what a case study does when you drop it in, not only does it offer social proof, like when we were talking about the 4 I's, this is like the interactions that you're proving that you're actually already helping other people by talking about case studies to say that other people actually come to you for this service and they get results. You're making them feel good, so like the I for intrinsic or how they feel, that you're actually making them feel as in they get hope. So there's pain or pleasure that they're moving up or down within. So you need to be using case studies to show them that you have a program, but you also want them to forget you've got a program and just get on with the answer into the question, so that they can remember later on that you've got a program. Because later on, like once you've helped them so much, and then they realise that the only thing really holding them back is they've been doing this alone, that's when the fact that you've already dropped the program in there helps them to be the person who suggests that they do your program, instead of it having to be you who suggests that they do the program. So the program, so go back to what you wrote down for show, because it's got to have like the show, the system, how it works, outcome, and why that's important. So put in the name of your program, how it works, what's the promise or the outcome that they usually receive, and lifestyle benefits as to why that outcome is so good. So that's where you show them your program. Inclusions, you tell them what else they get. So whether it's webinars, is it sessions, 1 session per week, face-to-face, or on Skype or Zoom, or online or something. Do they get CD sets? Do they get manuals? What do they get? And then the benefits of what they get, as in that what you get as a CD set, the benefit is so that you get mini sessions at home of hypnotherapy in between the sessions. At this point, you can only ask them if they're ready to step up if, I'll go back to it, the obstacles were sufficient. So they need to understand that with what we call the 3 breakthroughs and an offer, the offer is when you say, so are you ready to step up? That's the offer. You've already told them about your program. So with the obstacles, they need to have a sufficient breakthrough, as in like the first breakthrough was they understand that hope is possible, they can get there. The next breakthrough is that hope's not possible because their behaviour's being completely counterproductive and they're actually moving further and further away from their goal. So this is like where you've helped them to feel that, you know what, here's the pain of that you're never going to actually get your outcome. The next part you do is that you help them get the pleasure back by saying, well, what would actually help? Because you've tried everything else. What would really help? And they're like, yeah, the problem is with my health or with my business or with my marriage or whatever it is, I've been trying to do everything alone instead of basically just getting some help to do this. At that point, if they come to the conclusion themselves and you say, like, so where do you want to go from here? The fact that you've already dropped in the name of your program, the price of your program, and how it works, you've already dropped in the show bag. Inside of your case study, you've already dropped it in. This is where they'll start asking you about the program, if that makes sense. You want them, if at all possible, to be the ones who then say, all right, well then tell us about your program. Now, before you actually just tell them about your program, I want you to 1 or 2 times reject telling them about your program. Just say, look, I can't tell you about it now because first I just want to know is this really something that you want? Is this really something that you're willing to do? Because there's no point in me just telling you about it if it's not actually important to you. Like, it's just then going to waste both of our times and energy. So once they've really said, yes, actually, this is something that I absolutely have to be able to get through, then you can say, so are you willing to step up? Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do the program? Objection handles when they go like, yeah, but. So I want you to write down the mythbusters here. So you remember like the 10 myths that hold people back? But I want you to come up with your own as well. So if your niche is health, it's going to be time, money, energy, those kinds of things. Or they don't believe it'll work, or they don't know how to believe it'll work. The takedowns is like when you call bullshit. They'll say, look, I don't have time right now. Like, no, the reason you don't have time right now is you haven't prioritized it. Or when they say that, I just don't have the energy to do a health program. Like, well, you don't have the energy because, as we just talked about, like you just told me that your energy's lacking because of your diet. So you're never going to have the energy. Nothing's going to change for you. So this is where you've taken them on the feeling of up, down, up. So up, give hope. Down, take it away because nothing's changing. And up, something can change if you take action. Now we're back to down, which is the fourth feeling, to say, look, again, nothing can change for you because you're not doing anything. So that's the core bullshit. The story is when you give like another case study to say, another client of ours who was more poor than you, had less energy than you, and had less time than you, they were complaining about this, but then they stepped up, and what we found is that they absolutely moved further ahead into results. And that's the social proof. That's that's the four of the eyes, which is the interactions, which governs the way people make decisions. And then you tell the pain story, and you say, this client that we had, they came from the worst situation to you. Take some time, write down what the worst situation was. And then they move all the way through this better situation. Take some time, write down what the better situation is. And then empower them up. Talk about them again to say that this is something that you can do, this is something that you have, but you're going to have to take it seriously, and you can procrastinate forever. You can procrastinate until you're dead, basically. But it's habit forming. If you don't step up now, you're not going to step up tomorrow, you're not going to step up in 10 years. So, are you going to get past the excuses, or are you actually going to do this? And you have to take the lead. You've got to be able to balance that love and leadership. So, you've got to be able to not be a pushover, but not be pushy. And so that's that pushy/pushover spectrum that you want to make sure that you keep moving around on it, but not get too far near the edges. Then repeat the myth objections until they run out of them. Repeat your objection handling. So I'll go back to the start of the objection handle. So they give you an objection, you take it down by saying, look, that's not really it. You've just told me the exact opposite to this. Here's a story of a client that started worse than you and got better than you, and empower them back up and say, you can do this. So you're willing to step up. And they're like, no, like what it is, I just don't have time right now. And then you go, again, this is what you were telling us, that you'll never have time. Let me tell you a story about someone who started worse than you with less time and now is in a better situation because they took action. So this is something that you can do, so why are you willing to step up? You're like, no, I just don't have the money right now. And this is where you go back. You say, well, again, this is what you said, that like you've been prioritizing money on alcohol and snorkels instead of spending the money on you for just like once in your life to do one set of actions to set you up for your entire life. It's just rubbish. It's not about the money. So a client of ours, you're telling the story, started more broke than you and ended up better than what you're asking. And then you say, this is something you can do. So you empower them back up. And then you repeat it again when they go, yeah, but I don't really have the energy. And you're like, well, again, you don't have the energy because you're not taking action. You're not doing what you need for your health. Let me tell you about someone who was more sick than you, who moved to more health than what you're asking. And now this is something you can do, but you have to take action. And so then if they run out of myths or they run out of objections and they're like, okay, great, I'll do it. Then you've got to ask for a deposit and credit card. Always take their details and put it through yourself. Just don't tell them to do it. Like, you take it and you put it through. Put through a $200 deposit for your first session. Out of the 8 sessions, you're just taking the first session's deposit. Schedule their first appointment. And if they say, look, I can't give you a card right now, you're like, well, I can't schedule the appointment without a card. And generally they just go, okay, all right, fine, let's do it. And then you've got to frame the freak out, which is basically where you say, now you've committed to a real life change. This is something that's not necessarily going to be easy, but later on you're going to be wondering if you've made the right decision or not. So if this makes sense, that frame the freak out is that their emotions will be going up and down the whole time. Their emotions are going to be going up and down later once you're off the phone. So that's why you've got to tell them in advance, like, you know what, people in your life, they're going to question this decision, but they love you. So don't take it too personally if they don't understand the decision that you've made. So what are you going to do to make sure that you're not going to just freak out so much? Well, guaranteed you're going to feel different later, because everyone feels up and then down and then up and then down. That's what happens. And so the whole program deals with this. But what are you going to do to make sure that you stick with it and you're not someone who just like drops out 2 seconds later? So that's the sales process. Then there's the mail out, where you send them a client questionnaire and a confirmation of their first appointments. And then that is the whole process. So I really want you to don't just go through this once, go through it multiple times, take notes, and use the workbook that I have provided you to make sure that you're actually doing the steps, writing the steps down. And so this has been awesome. I hope you've got a lot of value out of it. Go through it again, use the workbooks, tell us how you've gone, submit your workbooks to us once you're done, and I'll talk to you soon.